Grandma's on the floor right now. Auntie's on the floor right now.
And then I asked, can we exchange numbers? She said, no, you give me your number, right? And I said, okay, let me grab a pen and paper. She said, no, 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 no. You can tell it to me. Now, I remember the days when you tell a person a number and they remember it. But in my opinion, gone are those days because everyone has a phone, right? So she took the number. I repeated it twice. She memorized the number, recited to me, and then after a little while, she excused herself to go to the restroom. At that time is when I fully took a look at the woman I was talking to, right? So what essentially happened, we built a relationship where, because I told her I was into real estate and different things, and it was more like a mentoring relationship, just having dialogue. She bought property, she buy and holds, and I fix and flip. So we were just having dialogue, and I believe I fell in love. And I told her, she said, why do you like me? I said, I fell in love with your brain. I fell in love with your brain. I didn't know the story as of yet, right? It was more that, wow, I have great dialogue. I'm having great dialogue with this woman, and I just love the way she thinks. She's literally about, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I will execute. There was never a dull moment in sense of, I can't do it. It is always, it is going to be done. It will be done. I'm not trying to do anything. It is done, right? So I was in awe of like, wow, okay. I like the way she thinks. She's about getting what she needs to get. So one of the things I talk about is when you meet someone, I don't believe in 50-50. I believe in 100-100. I think each individuals are whole. So when she came to me in our meeting, she was at 100. And I had gone through a process that had brought me there. So I think that meeting was perfect. And that's how come we started that journey.
That's a really fascinating story to me. I like what you just said. You said that she said it is done. And you seem to be the kind of man that really believes in taking action. So it seems like you both have like minds.
Yes, I truly believe that. Paige, I would call her. I said, Paige, you're the strategist. I told her, I said, look, you're the strategist. I'm the executioner. She's going to jump at it because I'm an analyst. I got to analyze everything. So sometimes you might take too long analyzing, right? And something great may pass you by. So Paige is already going to have all the research done according to what the research she needed to do. And then when she said, okay, this is where the target, hey, this is the bullseye, I'll jump in, look at everything, and I execute. So it works well, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give you a statement, Boston. And we've heard this statement a lot before, but I would like to know how you have changed some of the people you've hung out with if you were to take this statement into your own mindset. And here it is. You become like the 5 you hang out with. You become like the 5 people that you hang out with. I'm interested in knowing, have you changed any of your friends over the years based on deciding differently who you want to hang with and why? If you don't mind sharing that with us.
That's a great question. And I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I've always had a yearning for greatness, and that happened from a very young age, right? But if we fast forward to where you're talking about changing friends, right? I built an amazing organization when I came from New York City to Atlanta, back in 2007. I was a mortgage lender. We were partners. Our partnerships, we had First Capital Home Mortgage in New York, and we had about 65 branches. And, the markets, things were happening. You remember the '08 crash, right? Mm-hmm. But when I came at the end of '07 and I built some relationship that was, at the time, I consider amazing relationships, right? With some gentlemen. And everyone, real estate businessmen, and they were effective in what they did and what they do. And we built an amazing thing. You know, we did a lot of deals in Atlanta, developed neighborhoods and different things like that. But there was something missing, because the level to how they dealt behind the scenes, right, that I had no knowledge of, that started to catch up with us, started to paint a picture that I didn't want to be a part of. But I was so locked in on the fact that we will execute and make things get done that I thought this is a brotherhood, right? Here we are, built up a value that's so powerful, $100 million, as a matter of fact, in with real estate development, right? And here it is that I went into that season that Beige came into my life. And so much also was already happening with these gentlemen. And I remember Beige saying to me, she said, what do you need to create your own thing instead of having to suffer through this? She said, because since I've been around, I realized that you've brought these ideas to the table, and everyone will take what you brought to the table and run with it. But then the benefits for you is negative instead of positive. So that very moment, we made some decisions that I had to walk away from everything. And I kid you not, when you talk about, when you said you believe people tell stories with financial wealth, people go through, it's a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. People believe because you've achieved XYZ that you stay there. And what they don't understand, I tell them, is the same way how the trade markets operate. You know what I mean? That EKG machine that people look at and see that waves going up and down. I said, that is the wave of life, period, right? So there's going to be what we call a higher high in trading and a lower low. And guess what? We all end up there. It's just what we put in place as a safety net to really catch us. Does that make sense?
It does.
And I literally had to change these guys out. And honestly, it was one of the hardest things that I had to do, because I fell on my face and I walked away from everything. I didn't want anything. I didn't want to split any properties. I didn't do any of it, because my walk at that time also is that I also had reconnected. You know, my mom, she grew us up in the church, and then I strayed away. I made money and I thought it was all me. It's all me. There's nobody more powerful than Boston. That's what I thought when I was younger. And I got some rude awakenings, right? I got some rude awakenings. And so at that time, I was on a journey, a self-learned journey with my relationship, my spiritual relationship. So I walked away and I left everything. And here I am, got the home, walked away, left everything. I have this amazing woman, this child, and I got a lot of debt. And it's like, what am I going to do? And on top of it, that same amazing woman gave up her condo and said, I'll move in with you. And then she was to take a trip to Europe for about a year, right? And I said, I don't want my lady to go abroad and spend a year as my lady. If anything happens, then I have really no claim. I said, we've been dealing now for a while. I said, but a husband have a certain power and a wife has a certain power. And I kid you not, we decided to tie the knot. And my prophet, my pastor, married us in the ministry, but it was very close, just him, the first lady, and us. There wasn't no family members. It wasn't broadcast. It wasn't anything, right? And here I am in turmoil. Things are going crazy. And the only one person who said to me, listen, don't you worry, I got you. And it was so big for me because no one has ever got me, because I'm always getting everyone. You know, I'm always taking care of everyone. I'm always providing for everyone. So that switch up of having to leave what could have caused me problems, because most of the guys ended up in situations that they shouldn't have, and battling over properties and money, and so much have happened with that in the past. So I walked away at the right time. So yes, I had to switch it up. So when you're talking about the people that you're around, you become the 5 individuals that you're around. What has happened is that because I made that switch, I invited the right people that came over time into my life that was not only successful financially, but was successful spiritually and mentally. That was more of a concern to me. And I believe it has helped me on my journey and still helps me on my journey as a student moving forward.
That's a really powerful answer.
Thank you.
You know, Boston, I think the way you talk and the way you exude yourself, even when you were going through that metamorphosis, I would imagine that you were still proclaiming certainty and courage.
You know, I'll be honest with you, I was the only person. I'll share something very personal with you because, and that's a great question that you asked. I was scared. I remember saying to my wife, I said, this is really scary for me because I've always had a team, because I believe a team can do more than what one can do, but it depends on your team, right? So here I am out here by myself, but then I realized, no, well, I got the support that I need, right? And so in that time, once I knew and believed that, okay, wow, this is all I need, then I started to push through. Now, even with pushing through, I still had the fear about, but I had to proclaim different, you know, because on my mirrors, we have our written affirmations. We're saying it every morning. We've been doing something for many years now that we call VAMP. So we VAMP every morning, which is visualize, affirm, meditate, and pray. We do this every day, and we've been doing it for years. So it has been such a great thing that has gotten me through the process. And because of that, I always feel like anyone can go through the process and come out on the other side in a way that will be successful for them. So don't aim for the success. Don't aim to win. Just focus on the process. Make sense?
It does. I want to see if you find yourself in the story and which one are you? All right, you ready? All right, here we
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
So I have a friend named Kevin. He's very, very extremely successful, and he makes movies primarily about African-American men. He's white
Okay.
though. And we were in a business together. It was an MLM. You're familiar with those, multi-level marketing. And I just happened to get involved in it. And he said, I'll give you an audience of 10,000 if you succeed in the first 90 days. Well, I succeeded greatly in 89 days. I became a very, very good trainer for this company. I don't do it anymore. But I remember in about week 3, I had people parking up and down my driveway, down the street. My husband became like the person that was parking all the cars. It was overwhelming how many people. I had 50 to 60 people in my home at a time at these meetings. And Kevin would drive in from Florida. We didn't talk on the phone very much. He has a happy marriage. I have a happy marriage. And we decided at the beginning it would just be primarily a business relationship. We didn't share much emotionally. So it's very unusual. But I remember texting him, crying that night. I was in my bed. My husband was traveling. And I said, Kevin, I'm overwhelmed. I can't keep track of all these people. The business is growing so fast. And I'm leaving way too many people behind. Because there were so many people, Boston, that weren't succeeding. And I kept trying to save everybody. And he very matter-of-factly said, Lael, I don't remember how many. I think he had a couple 100,000 people in his business. And he said, Lael, I have this many people in my business and I don't turn around. He said, every time you turn around, you're trying to save people that don't want to be saved. He said, you've got to keep moving forward. And he gave me the story by text of Lot's wife, how she thought, well, maybe the land isn't that bad. And she turned around, she turned in her pillar of salt, and her husband kept walking forward.
Right.
So I am the kind of person that feels some guilt when I have success because of those that I've left behind. And I'm wondering, which one do you find yourself in? Are you like the Kevin, or are you more like a Lael that you're constantly turning around trying to save people? Or are you more like Kevin, which is, if people have the opportunity to be successful and I'm going to move forward no matter what, come with me or don't come with me. He said, you can't save people. You can't make people want to be successful. Which one would you describe yourself as? And how do you get to be that person?